Jamaica has many criticism from Jamaicans and from the international community. It has also made a number of improvements and seemed to be heading in the right direction. Nevertheless, it is still categorized by many as beneath where they expected Jamaica to be. Why is that, and how can this be rectified? Let's delve into another significant conversation.
The Jam Fam family. Jam Fam, come hang with me. Yeah.
Hello, Wagwan. Big up yourself, whether you're there yard or you're there abroad. Welcome back to another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. So on this one, we're going to be exploring the issue around Jamaica's categorization in terms of being an upper middle income nation. And this one had a lot of research and a lot of statistics. So oftentimes I'm going to be reading information because I need to ensure the accuracy and present those in a timely manner. So let's get on with this conversation. One of the signs that is used to indicate the development of a country or its level at which it is developing is its World Bank categorization. Jamaica is currently classified as an upper middle income country, and the gross national income, the GNI per capita, calculated by dividing the country's total gross national income by its population, is used to determine this category, and it's used and updated annually. This is a per capita value of between 4,496 and 13,935, and this is US dollars, and this is using the 2024 Atlas method. Now, the World Bank group economies in four categories. There's the lower middle, the upper middle, and the higher. So Jamaica is currently in the second category that they actually assign to nations. Now, in addition to the GNI, the World Bank also considers significant infrastructure investment and a strong business environment. They include also the financial markets and the regulatory framework that are in operation in those countries. Jamaica is a service-led economy and has vulnerabilities to external shocks and natural disasters. In the last year and a half, it has had a Category 3 hurricane, a tropical storm, and a Category 5 hurricane, which is an example of the fact that it is predisposed to some of these conditions. Additionally, Jamaica has a high demand for certain trade skills, but they aren't readily available on the island. And so these are going to be some of the factors we consider as we jump into the starting point for our conversation. In our conversation, we're going to be looking at why it is that the upper middle income categorization is the best that Jamaica can have at this moment in time, and also why it is that there are groups of people in the country who doesn't feel or experience this level of categorization. Now, firstly, with the development of the country, as all countries are constantly undergoing development, the key thing that we need to recognize is that in every society there is a hierarchy of social classes, and it's a part of the feudalistic structure. And this is something that has happened all the way back in civilization and has become more popularized in recent centuries by the Europeans. And so we need to take that into consideration and also take some personal agency in how we can traverse this hierarchy. Many times people further down the hierarchy tend to see it as a them against us ideology, and in so doing, it makes it a lot more difficult for them to look at ways in which they can climb up the hierarchy. And it's also important that we realize that wealth builds more wealth, and therefore the people who are wealthy are going to progressively continue to become wealthy, and therefore it creates even a greater divide between those at the very top of the hierarchy and those at the very bottom of the hierarchy, and the people in between that are grappling to occupy positions. And so it therefore means that people have to start to look at ways in which they can take personal accountability for how they can put systems in place to ensure that they too can start to move up the hierarchy, even though it might have been a later starting point for them and for the generations that's to come. Because after all, a good man leaves a substantial legacy, not just for his children, but also for his children's children. So we genuinely need to start to think about how we can bridge the gap between that divide for the children we're having and for our grandchildren and the others that will come after. Now, one of the first things that we need to think about is more strategic personal and mental development of the people. And initially people will say, oh, this is the government's duty. But that's why I made sure to include personal, because our development, once we've left the education system, is our personal duty. It's our personal responsibility, not just to develop ourselves in terms of the jobs that we want to take up and occupy, but holistically develop ourselves and improve our knowledge and reduce our ignorance so that we are better able to make decisions that are going to advance us and give us the ability to take risks in places that we otherwise would have avoided or dismissed. And therefore, it means that when we have conversations, we're more informed about what it is we're talking about and how to go ahead and do things. We can upskill ourselves and reskill ourselves in places where these are the things that needs to happen so that we can thrive. And it's about looking at how we can first make ourselves secure, financially stable, financially secure, before we venture off into things that are going to cost us even more than we already can afford, because all that will do is just give us a downhill slide into more deprivation. And so that's something that we need to look at, how we can incorporate more about it in the curriculum that's taught in schools, but also actively use the resources that are available to us to teach ourselves. One of the other things that we've noticed also is the using of dated data for analysis rather than timely data for services. And this is important because things are changing so rapidly, so swiftly, so quickly that it's difficult for us to be using something from 2021 to make an impact in 2025. We need to have more relevant data when we're making certain decisions. And this is not just personal, but also in terms of the governance of municipalities, as well as parishes and counties and the whole country. The third factor to think about is outdated domestic regulations and the lack of transparency. Sometimes things take so long before they happen, and even when they have been expressly stated that this is what needs to happen, people still who are working on the front line takes a long time before they actually adjust to what needs to actually happen. And sometimes we are the ones shooting ourselves in the feet. We're preventing the progress that can happen because we're reluctant to actually just simply change. Another factor is the failure to fully maximize foreign markets and qualification recognition. One of the things you have difficult here is people don't seem to take enough care about experiential knowledge. So knowledge you develop based on your experience working tirelessly in the field. They tend to take more the accreditation that you have that is academic based, where you might have done some research or you might have read some reports or some papers that were put together, but you haven't actually been practically doing what you are talking about or writing about. So your knowledge about it is just theoretically based. And it seems as though we prefer that over other things, where it would be more instrumental for somebody who has the experience, know what they're talking about, to actually get the job done. And the two things can work together more harmoniously. Equally, there are so many markets that are available out there that we could tap into. We grow so much mangoes that we can harvest and market. We have avocado in galore. We have so many things on our island. You know, we buy jackfruits in the UK, for example. Jackfruits stay here on trees and just fall off. So it's about seeing how we can do these markets. And a lot of people are looking to RADA, the Rural Agricultural Development Authority. And oftentimes we need to think about ways in which we can also develop and set up companies and do these things, see the problems and solve them on our own, rather than just waiting for a government agency to do it. Because we see in the countries in the global north that sometimes the governments are actually playing catch up because the people are using their initiative to set up these companies. The next issue to look at is the lack of effective enforcement and standards implementation. So the standards are made. They're made at the different places up in the hierarchy, and they're passed down the chain of command, and then they get to the bottom realm, and it's just not being implemented in the way that it should. And we need to be more active in ensuring that we're actually implementing these things. It's about change, but it also takes the mind of people who have open mind, who are looking to develop and to improve and to see the growth of their nation as well, so that these things can be adequately implemented and adhered to. And therefore it requires people being thorough about the work that they're doing, operating with integrity, more so than just because they're going to be paid. The sixth thing to talk about is the need for incentives in startups, research, and better access to finance. Now, there are some initiatives that are in place, but there just need to be more. And so it requires a greater commitment from private entities to fund grants that are government operated and means tested to help to improve the economy in terms of startup businesses, so that we can have more people exploring their ideas and developing businesses that will help to advance the country and make sure that there are more people who are producing, so that we are consuming the things we produce, because currently we are a very high consumer society, and we need to go back to the times like when we used to be high producers, because that is where we make the monies, in producing stuff. Because when you produce things that are in high demand, you get to dictate in the marketplace what you're going to be getting based on the demand for what you are producing and the quality of what you produce. It also increases competitiveness, and it holds more companies to account, because we don't have the overarching monopoly that many companies are used to, which is why they tend to exploit their client base. And the seventh thing we want to look at is the slow adaptation of technology and the poor delivery standards that sometimes are experienced. Now, technology is something that is going to be coming. It's not going away. And the sooner we adapt, the better we're able to function in an ever-evolving global marketplace. And it goes back to the point of our integrity, because the level of our integrity will determine our honesty, will determine the quality with which we work, the way in which we serve others in the way that we would expect to be served. And it also helps to determine how we will work together for the greater good, rather than just selfish intentions. And so it is important that all of these things are being factored in when we are considering the positions we're in. White as a upper middle income nation, and white is that there are some people on the island who might not also be feeling that similar experience. Tell us your view in the comment section below. We look forward to reading them. Leona, that look interesting. What you have make? What you make?
My dinner.
I can't get no. Why not?
So you not have food?
Yeah, but me feel you look nice.
This is my lunch.
What that? Well, me see lettuce over there, so. Oh, you having it? Oh, you have what kind of rice? That sticky rice?
Rice.
Why you grate the cheese? Why you make rice bowl? And why you meat?
Chicken.
Nuggets? Oh, that's why I made it here, the air fryer. Okay, so yeah, give me none. Why? Like, that's just not fair.
Fear.
So, jump from tribe, I smell this nice smell, and I hear the air fryer pop and everything.
At school the whole day, I want food, nobody never want to cook me no food. So I come home to enjoy my food, so I have to make food this year.
And she don't want to share now? Yeah. So, yeah, she said she went through the day. She could have better for join the queue if we go get lunch.
This is my breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And she could have better for join the queue if we go get lunch. So she said she just wait till she come home. So I can buy food out of town.
Couldn't bother. I'm a teacher, let me work late out of class.
Oh, is that where you said you had to stay behind to do the experiments?
I made it because them did say we only do one of them, and then someone else would also teach that subject. So we have to do, so it make the time extend, and I never want to do it.
Oh,
I
gosh.
have to do it, and it was irritating.
Oh, so now if you stay longer down, I did intend.
And people left, so them have bus, so they have to stay behind. You know, but just like a value. Just to send me information.
What?
Because I have yard figure. And then I go on there, so then I have yard figure. And then I go on yard a Friday.
Hush. Well, you have the rest of the weekend for chillax. May I go over to the food? I look like something I can go help myself too.
If you even even try touch me food, miss.
Later then. Let me record
You
it.
can record the food, but yeah, you just have to go so and eat it because you can't actually eat it. You just have to inhale it, taste,
Gosh.
and try. You want some gum?
No.
You pretend?
I'm fine. It's okay. I have my food. I go just take out of the
Yeah,
fridge.
food and yeah, you want to belly self. I try them out my food.
But just I got to take out my food out of the fridge and put it in the microwave, and that's that. I did cook food yesterday.
So you have food pack up, but you want to eat out my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I say you're rude.
I go heat up for me. So
But I try go heat you up.
you want any nuggets now?
No.
Alright then.
Give me some of your food, exactly. You won't give me none of it.
I was just cleaning up the stem of these, so that one broke out. I'm going to eat it shortly, but have a look. What do you call these? Do you call them satsuma? Do you call them mandarin? Do you call them tangerine? What do you call them where you're from? I saw some the other day, and I wanted to buy them, but they were just so green. Look like they just came out and blow off of the tree. People them just pick them up, then green. So I did not want to buy it because I thought that they were going to not be nice. And then I just got some, about half a dozen, in a bag just now from my father. So I'm going to go eat. So he got it straight from the tree on his way to me. They aren't massively sweet, but they are also not that bitter. They're how I remember tangerine to be, or mandarin to be. Do you have them different where you call the one that has the softer skin tangerine, and then the one that have the harder skin mandarin? Let me know. Or do you just call everything the same thing? Cheers. I have a dilemma. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to make for my breakfast. And I can't figure it out which thing to make. So this is what I've got. I have the idea to make some corn porridge or some fried dumpling with frankfurters. And so I've taken out, so it's this corn, so the green one. And when I don't have corn on the cob, my sister had taught me that I can just use the corn. Well, we have the frozen one in the UK. And then the flour. Trying to figure out which one do I make for my breakfast. That's the kind of dilemma I have this morning. Sometimes these are the kind of dilemmas we have to work through. I can't figure it out, but I will let you know what I decide in the end. In the end, this is what I decided on. So I decided I'm going to have some cereal. So my cereal is a blend of muesli, granola, oats, and then in my bowl, my mixed seeds blend is finished earlier this week. So I just have some cashew in there, and I put some peanut butter on it as well, just to help with that. And that's it. And I put all my spices and some vanilla in there, and I'm just going to put some milk in now and then get that going. So what are some of the things you have for breakfast? Do tell us in the comment section below. And I'm going to try and see how this works out. It's just going 11 o'clock and I'm going to have my breakfast now so that I can get some energy to get through the rest of my busy day. So sometimes when you can't decide, you just have to find an alternative. When I thought about it, I was like, I'm going to have to blend that corn now and sit there stirring it and cook it, or I'm going to have to knead that flour, then stand there and fry it. Just like, you know what, I can just put this cereal in the bowl pour some milk on it and put it in the microwave. Get it over and done with and eat nourishing and fine. So that's what I decided to do instead. Because I can't manage the rest of the sitting them right now.
The Jam Fam family. Where Irie living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Jam Fam family, the Jam Fam family, yeah. Jam Fam, come hang with me. The Jam Fam family. Jam Fam, come hang with me.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on this another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. We appreciate having you and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. So bye for now. Do take care and walk good.